The red warning lights flashed across the communication center as Zara Prime's 6 hands moved quickly over the control panels. Outside the tall crystal windows of the space station, she could see the burning remains of their last defense ships falling toward the planet. Below, like dying stars, the young Verdani's bark-like skin had turned a sickly yellow color from fear and stress. Her leaf crown, which should have been bright green, was now brown and curled at the edges. She had been working for 18 hours straight, sending message after message to every known civilization in the galaxy. None had answered. None were coming to help. "Status report," came the tired voice of Council Leader Thornroot, the oldest Verdani in their system. His massive tree-like form filled the doorway, but even his ancient strength seemed to be fading. "No responses from the Galactic Union, sir. The hegemony says they cannot spare any ships. The Free Worlds Alliance has already evacuated their border systems. Everyone is running from the Void Swarm." Zara Prime tried to keep her voice steady, but the fear leaked through anyway. Behind the council leader, she could see the other members of the Confederation Council. Splash Singer, the blue-skinned Thalassan, floated in her water-filled mobility suit. Her usual singing had stopped days ago when the bad news started coming in. Next to her stood Crystalline, the quartzite representative, his diamond-hard body reflecting the red emergency lights like a broken rainbow. "How long do we have?" asked Crystalline, his voice sounding like rocks grinding together. Zara Prime looked at her screens. The numbers were very clear and very scary. "The Void Swarm harvest ships will reach the outer atmosphere in 6 hours. Their ground machines will start landing in 8 hours. Full planetary consumption will begin in 12 hours. The silence that followed was heavy. 2.8 billion lives across 3 worlds. The entire Kepler Confederation would be gone by this time tomorrow. The machines would strip every bit of metal, every drop of water, every living thing. Then they would move on to the next system, growing stronger with each world they destroyed." "Keep trying," whispered Thornroot. "Someone must help. Someone must care about life in this galaxy." As the council members left to make their final preparations, Zara Prime turned back to her screens. She had tried every official channel, every emergency frequency, every diplomatic contact. Nothing worked. But wait, there was something she had not tried yet. In the deepest parts of the communication database, she found old frequency lists that had not been used for hundreds of years. Most were dead signals from civilizations that no longer existed. But one caught her attention. The translation was strange. The original language was something called English from a world listed as Terra. The frequency was labeled as Terra, emergency response, but her computer translated it as Terra emergency response. She had never heard of a Terra emergency system, but it sounded like some kind of automated service. Maybe it was a rescue service run by machines that could still work. Zara Prime looked around the empty communication center. What did she have to lose? In a few hours, her world would be dead metal and empty space. She opened the channel and began to record her message. "Unknown responders," she began, trying to keep her voice calm and professional. "This is Communications Officer Zara Prime of the Kepler Confederation. We are 3 peaceful worlds facing extinction from hostile machines called the Void Swarm. We have no military strength left. All our defense ships are destroyed. We need evacuation assistance for approximately 2.8 billion civilians. Most are non-combatant families, children, and elderly. We have included our exact coordinates with this message. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help." She paused, looking out the window again. More burning ships fell past the window. In the distance, she could see the dark shapes of the Void Swarm scout ships moving between the moons like metal sharks. "We do not have much to offer in return," she continued. We are farmers and artists and teachers, not warriors or traders. But we are alive, and we want to stay that way. If you have any ships that can carry people, any safe place to take them, any help at all, please come. We have maybe 6 hours before it is too late. This is Zara Prime of Kepler 3, signing off. She sent the message and watched it disappear into the dark space between stars. Then she sat back in her chair and waited. Around her, the station continued its automated functions. Her people were down on the planet, saying goodbye to each other and preparing for the end. Time passed slowly. 5 hours. 4 hours. 3 hours. Still nothing. Then, exactly 2 hours and 37 minutes after she sent her message, every communication screen in the center suddenly came alive. A strong, clear signal was coming in. The voice was speaking that same ancient language, English, but her computer was translating it perfectly. Kepler Confederation. This is Commander Sarah Chun of the Human Deep Space Monitor Station, Omega 7. We have received your distress call, and they're treating this as a Code Crimson humanitarian emergency. Help is coming. Please maintain your current position and prepare for large-scale evacuation operations. United Earth ships are being deployed to your location immediately. Estimated arrival time is 43 minutes. Hold on, Kepler Confederation. We are coming. Zara Prime stared at the screen for several seconds before her brain started working again. Humans? She had never heard of humans. But they were coming. In 43 minutes, she ran through the station corridors as fast as her 6 legs could carry her, shouting the news to everyone she passed. When she reached the council chamber, she burst through the doors without waiting for permission. Ships are coming, she yelled. A civilization called humans received our message. They are sending evacuation ships. They will be here in less than 40 minutes. The council members looked at her with surprise and hope. How many ships? Asked the splash-dash singer. Zara Prime realized she had not asked. She ran back to the communication center and sent a reply message. Commander Chun, this is Zara Prime. Thank you for responding. How many people can you evacuate? We have urgent need for transport for 2.8 billion civilians. The answer came back in less than a minute. Zara Prime, this is Admiral Marcus Thorne aboard UES Indomitable. We are bringing 300 ships to your location. Full evacuation capability for all civilians, plus medical support and temporary housing. We do not leave people behind. 300 ships. Zara Prime had never heard of any civilization having 300 ships in one place. The entire Confederation Navy at its strongest had only had 57 ships. She looked out the window and gasped. At the edge of space, reality was bending and twisting. Something very big was about to arrive. Something much bigger than she had ever imagined. The space around Kepler 3 exploded into light and motion as reality tore open and ships began pouring through. But these were not the small rescue vessels Zara Prime had expected. These were giants. The first ship to emerge was so large that it blocked out stars. The computer screens in the communication center started flashing error messages as they tried to measure it. 15 kilometers long. The biggest ship the Confederation had ever built was barely 2 kilometers. Behind the massive flagship came wave after wave of other ships. Sleek destroyers that moved like hunting cats. Huge transport vessels with docking bays that could hold entire cities. Medical ships painted white with red crosses that Zara Prime did not recognize, but somehow understood meant healing. By the deep roots, whispered Thornroot, as he watched through the station's main viewing window. What kind of civilization builds ships like this? Crystal Eye was scanning the newcomers with every sensor the station had. His diamond body was flickering with patterns of light as he processed the data. I am reading 307 vessels total. The smallest destroyer is larger than our old flagship. Their weapon signatures are... I cannot even measure them properly. It is like trying to count raindrops in an ocean. Splash Singer floated next to them, her blue skin bright with excitement and fear. They came so quickly. How did they get here so fast? It should take days to organize even a small rescue fleet. Before anyone could answer, the communication screens lit up again. This time, the signal was much stronger and included a visual feed. The face that appeared was unlike anything they had ever seen. Pink skin, small eyes, hair instead of leaves or crystals. But the eyes were kind, and the voice was strong. Kepler Confederation. This is Admiral Marcus Thorne aboard the United Earth ship Indomitable. We are beginning immediate evacuation operations. I need to speak with your government leaders right away. Zara Prime looked at the council members, then back at the screen. Admiral Thorne, I am Communications Officer Zara Prime. This is our Council Leader Thornroot, Council Member Splash Singer, and Council Member Crystal Eye. We were not expecting such a large force. The human admiral looked confused for a moment. Large force? Officer Zara Prime, this is a standard humanitarian deployment. We brought the 7th Fleet because your message indicated multiple worlds with civilian populations under immediate threat. Was our response inappropriate for the situation? The Confederation Council looked at each other in shock. Standard? This was their standard response. Admiral, said Thornroot carefully, in our experience, most civilizations have difficulty sending even one ship to help others. We did not know any civilization could send 300 ships so quickly. Now the Admiral looked genuinely surprised. I see. Well, we can discuss galactic politics later. Right now, we need to get your people to safety. According to our scans, the hostile machines will reach your atmosphere in approximately 2 hours and 30 minutes. We need to begin evacuations immediately. The communication screen split to show multiple views. Human officers on different ships were already working. Zara Prime could see transport ships moving toward the 3 Confederation worlds. Fighter squadrons were spreading out in defensive patterns. The huge medical ships were preparing to receive civilians. Wait, said Crystal Eye, his voice sounding like crystal bells ringing. You are preparing to fight the Void Swarm? They have destroyed entire civilizations. They have weapons that can crack moons. You should evacuate your ships too. Admiral Thorne looked at his officers, and Zara Prime heard something that sounded like quiet laughter. Council Member Crystal Eye, thank you for your concern. But humanity did not come here to run away. We came here to do a job. On the screens, Zara Prime could see human ships moving into attack positions. But they were not just running toward the enemy like desperate fighters. Everything they did looked planned, organized, professional. Like they had done this many times before. Admiral, she said, how many times have you done something like this? Something like what, Officer Zara Prime? Rescued entire civilizations from extinction. There was a pause. The Admiral looked at someone off-screen, then back at them. This is the 14th major humanitarian operation this year. The 47th in the last 5 years. Though I admit, this is the largest hostile force we have encountered in some time. The Confederation Council was very quiet for several seconds. Finally, Splash Singer found her voice. You do this regularly? You travel around the galaxy saving people? We respond to distress calls, said Admiral Thorne simply. That is what civilized beings do. Now, we really need to begin evacuations. Officer Zara Prime, we are sending Commander Sarah Chun to coordinate with your people. She will be aboard Transport 7, arriving at your station in 10 minutes. The screen showed a smaller human ship leaving the main fleet and heading toward their station. Zara Prime felt strange. She had sent out a desperate message hoping for maybe one small rescue ship. Instead, an entire human fleet had arrived to fight a battle they did not have to fight, to save people they had never met, from a galaxy away. "Admiral," she said quietly, "why? Why do you do this? You could just protect your own worlds and let the rest of the galaxy solve its own problems." The Admiral's expression became serious. "Officer Zara Prime, we learned something long ago on Earth. Evil succeeds when good people do nothing. The Void Swarm murders entire civilizations. We cannot stop all evil in the galaxy, but we can stop this evil here and now. That makes it our responsibility." Before she could respond, alarms started ringing throughout the station. The Void Swarm had detected the human fleet and was moving to attack earlier than expected. "All ships, this is Admiral Thorne," came the command over all frequencies. "The enemy is advancing their timeline. Begin immediate combat operations. Protect the evacuation ships at all costs. Show them what happens when they threaten innocent life." Through the windows, Zara Prime watched as the human fleet transformed from a rescue operation into something terrifying and beautiful. The ships moved like dancers in a deadly ballet. Fighters screamed past the station in perfect formations. The massive weapons of the destroyers began charging with light that hurt to look at in the distance. The dark shapes of the Void Swarm machines came forward like metal storm clouds. They had destroyed everything that had ever fought them. But they had never fought humans. "Officer Zara Prime," came Commander Chun's voice over the communication system. "This is Commander Chun, approaching your station for evacuation coordination. May I have permission to dock?" Zara Prime looked at the approaching transport ship, then at the human fleet preparing for battle, then at her own people, beginning to hope for the first time in days. "Permission granted. Commander Chun, welcome to Kepler 3. Thank you for coming." "Thank you for calling, Officer Zara Prime. That was very brave of you." As the human transport ship docked with their station, the first weapons fire began lighting up the space between the fleets. The battle for Kepler 3 had begun. Commander Sarah Chun was not what Zara Prime had expected. The human woman was smaller than any of the Confederation Council members, but she moved through the space station like she owned it. Her dark hair was tied back in a simple style, and she wore a blue uniform with patches and symbols that meant nothing to the aliens, but everything to her people. "Officer Zara Prime," Chun said as soon as she stepped off her transport ship, "I need a complete list of all civilian locations on all 3 worlds, plus any special medical or environmental needs your people have. My ships are ready to begin evacuations immediately." Behind her came a team of human specialists carrying equipment that looked both advanced and practical. They set up computers and communication devices with quick, efficient movements. Everything they did looked practiced, like they had done it many times before. "Commander Chun," said Thornroot, towering over the small human, "how do you coordinate the rescue of so many people? We have never attempted anything like this." Chun looked up at him without any fear, despite being less than half his height. "Standard procedure, Council Leader. We evacuate by family groups when possible, prioritize medical cases and children, establish temporary housing on our hospital ships, and process everyone for permanent relocation once the immediate danger is over." She pulled up a holographic display that showed both the human fleet and the 3 Confederation worlds. The display was covered with moving dots, each one representing a ship or a group of people. "We can evacuate about 2 million people per hour with this fleet configuration. Your total population of 2.8 billion means we need approximately 70 hours for complete evacuation. However, our combat ship should neutralize the immediate threat in far less time." Crystallized body flashed with confused patterns. "Neutralize? Commander Chun, you do not understand. The Void Swarm has consumed 37 known civilizations. They learn from each battle. They become stronger with each victory. This is not a threat you can simply neutralize. Chun paused in her work and looked at him with curiosity. 37 civilizations? Our intelligence suggested it was much smaller. Officer Zara Prime, may I see your historical records on this Void Swarm? For the next hour, Zara Prime and the council members shared everything they knew about the enemy. The machines that consumed entire star systems. The harvest ships that could crack open moons. The way they grew stronger by absorbing the technology and resources of their victims. As she shared the information, Zara Prime watched Chun's expression change. The commander became very quiet and very serious. She sent messages to Admiral Thorne and received replies that made her frown. Officer Zara Prime, Chun finally said, I need you to come with me to the Indomitable. Admiral Thorne wants to speak with all of you personally. The trip to the human flagship was unlike anything Zara Prime had ever experienced. The transport ship was larger inside than it looked from outside, and every surface was covered with displays showing information about the battle, the evacuation, and 100 other things happening at once. The human crew moved with calm purpose, even though they were in the middle of a war. No one seemed afraid. They looked focused and professional, like farmers during harvest time or teachers during class. When they reached the Indomitable, Zara Prime gasped. The ship was like a floating city. Corridors wide enough for vehicles. Ceilings high enough for trees. Areas specifically designed for aliens like herself, even though humans had never met her species before. How did you know to build spaces for people like us? She asked Chun as they walked. Standard first contact protocols, Chun replied. We assume that alien life forms will have different physical requirements than humans. All of our ships have modular living spaces that can be reconfigured for different species. They reached the command center, and Zara Prime saw the true scale of human military organization for the first time. Hundreds of people working at stations, coordinating with ships across the fleet. Admiral Thorne stood at the center of it all, calm and confident as he directed the largest rescue operation in galactic history. Council members, he said as they approached, thank you for coming aboard. I have some questions about this Void Swarm that are very important. He led them to a conference room where the walls showed images from the battle. Human ships were fighting the Void Swarm machines, and to Zara Prime's amazement, the humans were winning. The deadly harvest ships that had terrified the galaxy for thousands of years were being destroyed by human weapons. According to your records, Admiral Thorne said, these machines have been consuming civilizations for over 3,000 years. In all that time, no one has fought back effectively. Is that correct? Splash Singer nodded sadly. Most civilizations run when they detect the Void Swarm. Those who try to fight are destroyed quickly. I see, said the Admiral. He pressed some controls, and the wall display changed to show a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked the locations of destroyed civilizations. There were far more red dots than anyone in the Confederation had ever imagined. Admiral, said Crystal Eye, this is a much larger problem than we told you. If you wish to evacuate your fleet and our people to safety, we would understand. Admiral Thorne looked at his staff officers, then back at the aliens. Council members, I think there is a misunderstanding here. Humanity did not come to evacuate you and leave. We came to solve the problem. Solve the problem? Asked Zara Prime. The Void Swarm, said Admiral Thorne simply. We are going to destroy it. All of it. The silence in the room was complete except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Finally, Thornroot found his voice. Admiral, you cannot be serious. They have consumed 37 civilizations. They have technology from thousands of worlds. They have resources we cannot imagine. Admiral Thorne nodded. Yes, That is a significant threat. That is why Earth Command is sending additional fleets. The 1st through 5th combined fleets are being mobilized as we speak. That will give us approximately 1,500 ships and 2 million personnel for this operation. Zara Prime felt like her brain had stopped working. 1,500 ships? 2 million personnel? Admiral, what you are describing is larger than our entire civilization. Officer Zara Prime, said Chun gently, may I ask you something? How many ships does Earth have total? Zara Prime looked around the room. We do not know. How many ships does Earth have? Admiral Thorne and Commander Chun looked at each other, then back at the aliens. Active fleet strength is approximately 12,000 ships across all classes, said the Admiral. That does not include civilian vessels with military conversion capability, orbital defense platforms, or system guard units. Crystal Eye's body went completely dark for several seconds. When his lights came back, they were dim and confused patterns. Why? He whispered. Why do you build so many ships? Who are you expecting to fight? Everyone, said Admiral Thorne matter-of-factly. Human history taught us that the universe is hostile to life. If we want to protect life, we must be prepared to fight for it. We hoped we would never need this level of military capability, but it appears the galaxy needs it now. He stood up and activated a larger display that showed the entire galactic arm. The Void Swarm has killed billions of innocent beings. It continues to kill billions more. We cannot bring back the civilizations it has destroyed, but we can prevent it from destroying any more. What if you lose? Asked Splash Singer quietly. Then other civilizations will continue the fight, said Chun. We have sent complete intelligence packages to every major power in the galaxy. If humanity falls, someone else will carry on. Admiral Thorne looked directly at Zara Prime. Officer Zara Prime, your distress call may have saved this galaxy. Not just the Kepler Confederation, but all life. The Void Swarm was growing stronger with each victory. If it had consumed your worlds and moved on to others, it might have become unstoppable. But now you are stopping it, said Zara Prime. Yes, said the Admiral. Now we are stopping it. The question is whether your people want to help. The Confederation Council looked at each other. They were farmers and artists and teachers. They had never built weapons or fought wars. But they could help with other things. They could provide supplies, information, safe places for wounded humans to recover. What do you need from us? Asked Thorne Root. Admiral Thorne smiled for the first time since they had met him. Welcome to the fight, Council Leader. Let us show you how civilized beings protect each other. Outside the windows of the Indomitable, human ships continued their careful work of destroying the Void Swarm forces around Kepler-3. But now it was not just a rescue operation. It was the beginning of something much larger. It was the beginning of the galaxy's first real hope in 3,000 years. 3 months after the rescue at Kepler-3, Zara Prime stood on the observation deck of the UES, Indomitable, and watched something that had never happened before in galactic history. 1,000 human warships spread across space in perfect formation, hunting the machines that had terrorized civilizations for 3,000 years. She wore a human uniform now, with the rank insignia of a liaison officer. Admiral Thorne had asked her to serve as a bridge between humanity and the other alien species they encountered. It was not easy work, but it was necessary work. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV. Came the voice of Lieutenant Rodriguez from the sensor station. Void Swarm Foundry Ship, Heavy Class. Estimated crew of machines, 50,000. Weapons free, replied Admiral Thorne calmly. All ships, commence attack pattern Delta 7. Zara Prime watched as the human fleet moved like a single organism. Destroyers raced ahead to disable the enemy's weapons. Heavy cruisers formed a wall of firepower that nothing could break through. Fighters swarmed around the enemy ship like angry insects. The battle was over in 17 minutes. What impressed Zara Prime was not just how quickly humans won their fights. It was how they won them. Everything was planned. Every movement had a purpose. They fought like they had been studying war for 1,000 years, which she had learned they actually had. "Foundry ship neutralized," reported Commander Chun from the tactical station. "Boarding teams are going in now to secure any intelligence." "And survivors?" asked Admiral Thorne. "No organic life detected, sir. The machines killed everyone on that ship decades ago." This was the part that Zara Prime found hardest to understand about humans. They fought with terrible efficiency, but they always looked for survivors first. They destroyed enemy ships, but they mourned the lives those ships had taken. They were the most dangerous warriors she had ever seen, and also the most careful about protecting innocent life. "Admiral," she said, approaching his command chair, "I have a message from the Hegemony Council. They want to know why we destroyed the Foundry ship instead of capturing it for study." Admiral Thorne turned to look at her. Over the months, she had learned to read human expressions. He was annoyed, but not surprised. "What did you tell them, Officer Zara Prime?" "I told them that we already captured 3 Foundry ships last month, and that our scientists have learned everything useful from them. The intelligence teams determined that this ship had no new information worth the risk of a capture operation." "Good answer." "What did they say to that?" "They asked why we are sharing our intelligence freely instead of selling it or trading it for favors." Now Admiral Thorne looked truly puzzled. "Why would we not share it? The more civilizations that know how to fight these machines, the safer everyone becomes." This was something that many alien governments could not understand about humans. They shared their weapons technology, their tactical knowledge, their military training, all for free. When asked why, they always gave the same answer: because evil thrived when good people did nothing. "Admiral," came the voice of Commander Singh from the communications station. "We have a priority message from the 4th Fleet. They have made contact with survivors." The main screen changed to show the face of Admiral Martinez, commanding the human fleet operating near the Galactic core. Behind her, Zara Prime could see alien civilians being helped aboard human medical ships. "Marcus," said Admiral Martinez, "we found them. The Eternal Garden civilization. The machines had them trapped on a mining world, using them as slave labor. 87 million survivors, mostly children and elderly." Admiral Thorne leaned forward in his chair. "What do you need?" "Hospital ships and transport vessels. My fleet is equipped for combat operations, not large-scale civilian support." "And Marcus?" "It is bad here. Really bad. These people have been slaves for 60 years. Zara Prime watched Admiral Thorne's expression become very hard and very cold. She had learned that this was the look humans got when they were truly angry. "The 7th Medical Group is 3 days from your position," he said. "I am sending them to you immediately." "What about the machines responsible?" "Already handled," said Admiral Martinez with grim satisfaction. "This entire system is now clear of Void Swarm presence." After the communication ended, Admiral Thorne stood quietly for several minutes. Zara Prime had learned not to interrupt humans when they were thinking. They processed emotions differently than her people did. "Officer Zara Prime," he finally said, "how many civilizations do your records show as disappeared over the last 3,000 years?" She pulled up the data on her personal tablet. The numbers were not good. 237, sir. We always assumed they had either destroyed themselves or moved to other galaxies." "They did not move," said Admiral Thorne quietly. "They were murdered. All of them." The next few hours were very busy. The human fleet received new intelligence about Void Swarm positions throughout the galaxy. Planning sessions were held to coordinate attacks with other human fleets. Supply ships arrived with everything from ammunition to medical, supplies to fresh food for the alien refugees they had rescued. Zara Prime attended the evening briefing session where human officers planned the next day's operations. She still found these meetings amazing. The humans discussed the destruction of galaxy-threatening enemies, the same way her people discussed crop rotations. "Target list for tomorrow," said Commander Chun, reading from her tablet. "1 heavy foundry complex in the Vega system. 2 machine patrol fleets near the Horsehead Nebula. An intelligence suggests a major swarm command center in the Andromeda approach vector. Crew rest schedules?" asked Admiral Thorne. "All personnel have had at least 6 hours sleep in the last 24 hours, sir. Medical reports no signs of combat fatigue. Ammunition status? Fully stocked after the supply run this morning. We could fight continuously for another 2 months without resupply." This was another thing that impressed Zara Prime about humans. They took care of their people. Good food, enough rest, medical care, entertainment during off-duty hours. They understood that taking care of soldiers was just as important as having good weapons. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kim from the intelligence station, "we have an interesting development. The Architect civilization has made contact with the Second Fleet. They want to share technology." Admiral Thorne looked surprised. The Architects were one of the oldest and most mysterious civilizations in the galaxy. They had never shared technology with anyone. "What kind of technology?" "Advanced shielding systems, sir. Apparently, they have been hiding from the Void Swarm for over 1,000 years using shield technology that makes their worlds invisible. They want to give it to us so we can protect other civilizations." "Why now?" asked Commander Chun. Lieutenant Kim smiled. "According to their message, they are impressed that humanity is actually fighting back instead of just hiding. They said it is time for the galaxy to fight together." Over the next few days, Zara Prime watched as something incredible began to happen. Alien civilizations that had been hiding for centuries started coming out to help. The warrior species Krolex offered their elite shock troops. The Hegemony provided supply bases. The Free Worlds Alliance began sharing intelligence. For the first time in galactic history, different species were working together against a common threat. And it was all because humanity had shown them that the threat could be fought. "Officer Zara Prime," said Admiral Thorne one evening as they watched the stars from the observation deck, "your people saved more than just themselves when they called for help. You may have saved the entire galaxy. We did not save anyone, Admiral. We just asked for help." "That is exactly what saved everyone," he replied. "Someone had to make the first call. Someone had to be brave enough to ask for help. That was you." Zara Prime looked out at the human fleet, and beyond it at the ships from a dozen other civilizations now working together. In the distance, she could see the lights of construction ships building a new space station where different species could meet and coordinate their efforts. "What happens when this war is over?" she asked. Admiral Thorne was quiet for a long moment. "I think that depends on what the galaxy wants to become. But I hope it becomes something where no one has to face extinction alone, ever again." 3 days later, the largest battle of the war began when 1,500 human ships and 300 alien vessels attacked the Void Swarm's Central Command Complex. The battle lasted 18 hours and ended the threat that had haunted the galaxy for 3 millennia. But more importantly, it marked the beginning of something new. A galaxy where civilizations protected each other. 5 years after the desperate call from Kepler-3, Admiral Zara Prime of the Galactic Defense Fleet stood in the command center of the new station called Unity Base. Through the massive windows, she could see ships from 47 different species working together in the largest space construction project in galactic history. She still found it strange to be called Admiral. The Confederation Council had insisted on the promotion when she accepted command of the mixed alien squadrons. The humans had supported it, saying that leadership should come from those who understood both courage and cooperation. "Admiral," said Commander Chun, who now served as her deputy, "we have completed the final sweep of Sector 7G. No void swarm remnants detected. The area is clear for civilian resettlement." Zara Prime nodded and marked another star system as safe on the galactic map. It had taken 5 years, but they had done what everyone said was impossible. The void swarm was gone. Not just defeated, completely destroyed. Every machine, every foundry ship, every automated constructor that had terrorized the galaxy for 3,000 years. The cost had been enormous. 37 human fleets had participated in the war. Over 1 million human personnel had died fighting machines they had never met before, to protect people they had never seen, simply because it was the right thing to do. But they had also gained something incredible. For the first time in galactic history, different species truly worked together. The Galactic Defense Compact was not just a military alliance. It was a new way of thinking about civilization itself. "Admiral," came the voice of Engineering Chief Korax, a Krallex whose people had become humanity's closest military partners. "The new rapid response ships are ready for final testing. We have successfully combined human drive technology with architect shielding and Thalassan life support systems." "Excellent, Chief. How long from distress call to arrival?" "Anywhere in the galaxy within 72 hours, Admiral. No one will ever have to wait for help again." That had been Admiral Thorne's final order before his retirement. No civilization should ever face extinction alone. The Galactic Defense Fleet now maintained rapid response groups throughout the galaxy, ready to help anyone who called for aid. "Admiral Zara Prime," came another voice from the communication station. "We are receiving a priority distress signal. Unknown civilization, Sector 12F, near the galactic rim." Zara Prime felt her heart speed up. This was always the moment that mattered most. Someone somewhere needed help. "Details," she said calmly, using the same professional tone she had learned from watching humans work. 3 inhabited worlds. Approximately 4.2 billion civilians. They are under attack by something they call the Iron Plague, automated weapons platforms that appeared suddenly and began attacking all life. How long do we have?" "Unknown, Admiral." The message was sent 6 hours ago. Signal strength suggests they are very far away, probably at the edge of explored space. Zara Prime looked at the galactic map, calculating distances and response times. Sector 12F was indeed at the very edge of known space, where few civilizations had ever traveled. "Commander Chun, what is our nearest rapid response group?" "The 4th RRG under Captain Martinez, currently on patrol near the Outer Rim. She has 15 ships, mixed human and allied crews. Send them immediately. Full authorization for rescue operations." Zara Prime paused, then smiled as she remembered her own desperate call so many years ago. "And send a message to Captain Martinez. Tell her that help is coming, and we do not leave people behind." 2 hours later, Captain Martinez's ships were already in hyperspace, racing toward the unknown civilization faster than any rescue in galactic history. Behind them, larger fleets were mobilizing in case the threat was bigger than one response group could handle. "Admiral," said Commander Chun, "I have Admiral Thorne on the communication system. He wants to speak with you." The old Admiral appeared on the main screen from his retirement home on Earth. He looked older now, with gray hair and lines around his eyes, but his voice was still strong. "Admiral Zara Prime," he said with a smile. "I heard about the new distress call. How does it feel to be on the other side of the conversation?" "Exciting and terrifying," she admitted. "I keep thinking about how I felt when I was waiting for help. I do not want anyone to feel that alone ever again." "You are doing good work," said Admiral Thorne. "The galaxy is safer because of leaders like you." "Have I ever told you what I think was the most important moment in this whole story?" Zara Prime thought for a moment. "The great battle at the Void Swarm stronghold? The first joint operation between human and alien fleets? The day they destroyed the last Void Swarm ship?" "What moment, Admiral?" "The moment you decided to send that first distress call. You could have given up. You could have decided that no one would help. But you tried one more time. You reached out to the unknown and asked for help. That decision saved not just your people, but the entire galaxy." "I was just doing my job, sir." "That is exactly why it mattered. Sometimes the most important moments in history happen when someone just does their job, even when everything seems hopeless." After the call ended, Zara Prime walked through Unity Base, observing the incredible sight of dozens of species working together. Vidani botanists worked with human engineers to design better life support systems. Krollex warriors trained alongside Thalassen healers. Quartzite mathematicians helped architect philosophers solve complex tactical problems. In the main assembly hall, representatives from every member civilization were meeting to plan the next phase of galactic development. Now that the Void Swarm was gone, they could focus on exploration, trade, and building something better than the galaxy had ever seen before. "Admiral," said a young Krollex officer, approaching with obvious nervousness, "I wanted to thank you for recommending me for command training. My people never imagined we could learn to lead mixed-species crews." "Officer Thakram," Zara Prime replied, "leadership is not about species. It is about caring for those under your command and making good decisions under pressure. You have both qualities." As she continued her walk, Zara Prime thought about how much had changed. 5 years ago, she had been a communications officer on a doomed space station, sending a desperate message into the dark. Now she was an admiral commanding fleets from dozens of worlds, trusted with protecting billions of lives. But the most important change was not in herself. It was in the galaxy itself. Before the war, civilizations had lived in isolation, afraid to reach out to each other, afraid to ask for help. Now they worked together, shared technology, protected each other. The communication system throughout the base suddenly activated with an urgent message. "All stations, this is Captain Martinez. We have arrived in Sector 12F and made contact with the threatened civilization. The Iron Plague has been identified and is being neutralized. Civilian evacuations are underway. Estimated completion time, 6 hours. No assistance required at this time." Zara Prime smiled. Another civilization saved. Another group of people who would not have to face extinction alone. The system worked. That evening, she stood again at the observation windows and watched the stars. Somewhere out there, Captain Martinez and her mixed crews were doing what the galaxy did now, protecting those who could not protect themselves. Her communication device beeped with a personal message. It was from her old friend Commander Chun. "Zara, you should see this. Martinez found something interesting. The civilization they rescued has technology we have never seen before. Really advanced. They want to share it with us as thanks for the rescue. Plus, they have offered to join the Galactic Defense Compact. We might have just found our next major allies." Zara Prime smiled and typed back a reply. "Excellent news. Schedule a full briefing for tomorrow morning. And Sarah, make sure they know they are welcome. Everyone deserves a chance to be part of something bigger than themselves." She looked back out at the stars, thinking about all the civilizations still out there. Some probably needed help. Some might become allies. Some might have knowledge or technology that could benefit everyone. But now, for the first time in galactic history, none of them had to face the unknown alone. Her communication device chimed again with an automated message from the duty officer. Admiral, we have received a distress signal from an unknown civilization in Sector 9C. Population, approximately 8 billion. Threat assessment in progress. Awaiting your orders. Zara Prime straightened her uniform and headed back to the command center. There was work to do. Unknown civilization, she said to herself as she walked, practicing the words she would send back. This is Admiral Zara Prime of the Galactic Defense Fleet. We have received your distress call. Help is coming. You are not alone. Outside the windows of Unity Base, ships from a dozen species began moving toward their assigned coordinates, ready to do what had become the galaxy's most important work, answering the call when someone needed help. The universe was still dangerous. There were still threats in the dark between stars. But now, when someone sent a desperate message into the void, someone always answered. And that made all the difference.